on YouTube. Baby oil, you fucking prick.
What up, people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye coming to you again with a little bit of a new feature. This is called the Premier League Wrap. And we're going to talk all things Premier League with a particular focus on Arsenal, Liverpool, and United. Joining me today is the man that loves causing riots in the chat room, Stel to Stel. Say hello to the people, Stel.
I thought you were going to introduce Rob first. I was getting ready to just do some stupid.
Oh, no, you know why I'm leaving Rob till last.
Fair enough, yeah.
And then next up, I absolutely had to introduce him. Title the video that way. You're seeing the feature of the baby oil on the screens right now.
Baby oil, baby oil. Get your baby oil ready. Get your baby oil ready because Stel is going to.
A lot of people right now. I want you to know that. So literally just going into things now. So you guys have probably seen my various rants on Arsenal in the past couple of weeks. What would you say? What is your opinion on the way Arsenal finished?
Well,
you want me to go?
No, sorry. I just realised I was getting some feedback. I thought, let me correct that. So let me ask that to Stel. What was your opinion on the way Arsenal finished this season?
They ended how I said they would end when I came on your show at the beginning of last season. They will end strong. They'll win all their games, all their remaining games with ease. I said they get top four, which they didn't, but you know, it didn't surprise me, Geezer. It honestly didn't surprise me. And to be fair, it's quite ironic how he changed his system and it flipped everything on its head. He changed his system. The stubbornness went. The old man Wenger, he changed his ways. He was a changed man. He saw the light. Jesus visited him or something. I don't know. It must have been the ghost of George Graham. I don't know. Is he dead? He's still alive. Sorry.
His fucking career is.
And Rob, what about you? Was there ever a time as a Liverpool fan that you were sweating at all about your Champions League place?
No, not really. Not really. I knew you were going to win those games because that's what you do. And the FA Cup final for me is a perfect metaphor. That it was a brilliant performance by Arsenal.
Yeah.
Admittedly, Chelsea weren't very good, but it's just so typical for Arsenal to put together a performance like that. And it was, thoroughly deserved, but you see that twice, 3 times a year. Normally it's when they play Hull and beat them by 7 or something, and they did well. I agree with what Stel says, that the adaptation to their system, which obviously was forced upon them, did the business. I was really, really pleased with Rob Holding. When you signed him, I told you had a bit of a player there. And it took a bit of time, admittedly, but he's one of the clear bright sparks of the season for Arsenal, in my opinion. We'll see what happens next year if Xhaka can settle in properly,
Speaking of Xhaka, Stel's boy. I know, Stel, you've been a massive supporter of Xhaka since we bought him. Even when I've ran my mouth about him, you've been like, you know what, keep the faith. And to be fair, he finished the season well. How do you feel Xhaka's season went over the course of last season?
I feel like I'm repeating myself here. When I came on your show last time to have a bit of a moan about United's performance.
Sorry, I like your shout out to John, but go on. When I just train of thought. No, when I came on your last show, I said footballers need a year. I always give a footballer a year to bed in, and he needed that year. In fact, he needed 6 or 7 months. And it always stand out in my mind, that game against Crystal Palace when you lost the 3-0 game. He was the only player that was looking for a pass. The only problem that he had was that his tracking back wasn't great and he wasn't winning the ball. But apart from that, going forward, he was fantastic. He's got a great range of passing. He can pick a ball 20, 30 yards. He's very, and I hate to use this, Carrick-esque. He's a very useful player. And to be honest, it's not a surprise that Wenger signed him, because I know that he's an admirer of Carrick's and he's a very similar footballer. It didn't surprise me how he ended the season. It didn't surprise me that
once Wenger changed the system, he reverted to 3-4-3. Xhaka was more involved in the game because he had the holding midfielder with him. I think he's a fantastic footballer, and I think it's unfair for people to say, "Oh, he's rubbish and that he was a waste of money." You can't judge a player on 6 months. If you were going to do that, then Henry would have been a flop, and you'd have ended up at Le Havre or wherever these French footballers go and buy coffee shops and end up there. I don't know, but you've got to keep the faith. I know it's a results industry. Okay, and I know it's important for your club to be successful, and I know Arsenal are a big club with prestige and massive history, but let's face it, you've got to be patient with these footballers. There's no good having these vigilante groups and saying effing and blinding about certain players and trying to force players out and whatnot to suit an agenda. You're not going to achieve anything. Give these footballers a chance, okay? I said at the beginning of last season, you've got to give Wenger his dues. You've got to be patient with him. I know what's happened this season. Everyone's seen what's happened this season. He's signed for another 2 years. There's nothing you can do. On the flip side, I know I'm digressing here, but when it comes to Arsene Wenger, and I've just got to get this off my chest, right? Because I know I'm going to forget, and then at the end of the show, why didn't I say this? He signed.
Don't worry, Wenger's on my agenda, so yeah, you might as well go into it now.
He signed for 2 years for a reason, and that reason is for the benefit of the club. And I know people are going to say to me, "Oh, you're chatting rubbish at the moment," but hear me out, right? Who else is going to replace Wenger now? There's no one out there that's available, or no one that wants to take the job just yet. Okay, you've got Simeone at Atletico Madrid. They've got a new stadium. He wants to be there when they open it. Allegri ain't going to leave anytime soon. He's just won this. Juventus have just won the 6th title in a row. So when it comes to the big name managers, who's going to be about? Is Ancelotti going to leave Bayern? Not anytime soon. Talk about Thomas Tuchel. Why do you want him? What's he proven? He's proven nothing this season. So, at the end of the day, Wenger signed for another 2 years because at the end of the day, in 2 years' time, you might have an Allegri out of work. You might want a new challenge. You might have Simeone say, "Sod this, I want to get out of Atletico Madrid because they're selling all our players." So yeah, I think that Wenger's done the right thing. He's done the right thing for the club, the right thing for the fans, and you just got to stick by him, and that's it. But I don't know how I just deviated from Xhaka to Wenger. But sorry.
Yeah, it's a weird link, but don't worry, I'm with you.
Let's talk about Xhaka. He's a quality player. He's proven his worth this season, I think, and next season you're going to get the best out of him. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that fully with what Stel just said, and I'll give you 2 examples. Ander Herrera at Manchester United, gave him a year, and this year for me he's been one of the best players in the Premiership. And then the other one is Lallana at Liverpool. But he had a stinking first year, and everyone was like, "What have we signed? He's a dud. And now he's, found his feet, found his footing. It's one of these things that I always talk about with my friends, and I talk about this with my dad an awful lot. And Stel and I have talked about it. You can buy a player, you can buy anybody, but for some players, and Xhaka, I think this is probably where his downfall had been. He's all of a sudden in an environment and at a club where you are expected to win every single game, and it takes a huge amount to get your head around that and realize just how difficult and how challenging that can be for footballers. I personally, I was over the moon for Arsenal fans when they signed Xhaka. I thought he was a perfect signing for them, a long-term replacement for 2 or 3 of their guys that are getting on a little bit in the middle of the field. And I agree with Stel. Next year, you'll see the benefit. There's no guarantees. Heaven forbid he doesn't get a knee injury or anything like that, but I expect him to do very, very well for you next year, and a lot of people to be eating crow.
And me included, to be honest, because I put myself in this bracket. We're very reactive because we're so desperate to do well, and we've been waiting for so long that you've probably heard me, and a lot of you guys would have heard me listening today, would have heard me criticizing people like Xhaka. I never personally called him a waste of money. The person I did say that for was Mustafi. I felt like we probably slightly overpaid for him, but I did always preface that with, I'll give him until next season. What is your guys' opinion on Mustafi? Because he is a guy that and I'm literally going through guys that I have criticised over the course of this season. Your guys' opinion on Mustafi?
Go on, Rob.
Oh, go on then. I like him, but I think you need to find the right partner for him. And I think playing three at the back probably suits him better than any of the other central defenders that you've got at the club.
So,
he's one of the best of a bad bunch, I guess. Holding came into his own back into the season. I said it. He's a quality player. You know this. Koscielny,
this would be interesting.
I can't work out.
That guy deserves the bollocking of all bollockings for what he did.
No, I can't make head nor tail of him because he started off slow, then he did really well. Then he became one of the best defenders in the league, and he's just regressed. And I think he's just one of these players that he needs a new challenge. He needs a new club. Yeah, it's not about Arsenal. He's just one of these players you could just tell that he isn't being challenged. Let's just put it that way. He isn't being challenged. Is he vice captain or third captain? I don't know. Mustafi's come in, so obviously it's going to be Koscielny plus Mustafi or Koscielny plus someone else. The good thing is that Rob Holding has emerged on the scene, and there's that added pressure. But now Koscielny is, thinking, well, I've got extra competition for the French national team because Umtiti's doing well at Barcelona. That fella Varane is coming to form again now that Pepe is at the Real Madrid team or is at the club. So maybe he needs a new challenge. And Mustafi, again, I was very surprised to see not how much Arsenal spent, but the way that they went in hard to sign him. He was okay at Valencia, but then again, Otamendi was okay at Valencia, and we've seen how he got on. Again, he needs a season. He needs a season, and he's had this season to settle, to bed in. People forget that La Liga and the Premier League, they're completely different styles. Completely. I mean, we watch it on the TV and we think, oh, Messi's fantastic, and defending in La Liga is rubbish. No, these players are just too good. There's a difference. We saw Ronaldo did to Juventus in the Champions League final. They're no slouches. So you can't say that La Liga is weak defensively. Technically, they're better. And he coped very well, Mustafi, in La Liga. Coped so well that Arsenal were willing to spend 20-odd million on him. So he's had his year. Perhaps he's the man to take over Koscielny's mantle. The only thing about Mustafi is that I don't think he realised how physical the Premier League was until he came. Hence the slow start. And he came into his own at the back end of the season. And like I said, I think now he knows what it's all about. But now it's more in the sense that, well, he needs a defensive partner. The good thing about Arsenal at the moment is that you've got three decent central defenders. You've got Koscielny, Mustafi, and Holding. The only thing is, every great team needs a great defender. You saw in the past with Liverpool with Hansen. We saw United with Bruce and Pallister, with Stam and Vidic. Arsenal with Tony Adams. Chelsea with John Terry. I wouldn't put any of those three central defenders up there with those players. And that's what you need to win a title. You need a spine. You got Peter Cech, who's got that experience. Where's that central defender that's going to lead you? I don't see Koscielny as a leader. I don't see him. I've never seen him talk or shout or marshal his defense or tell him to hold their line or anything. I think
your Caucasian cousin Lee would absolutely agree with you. He would absolutely. Look, that's what I'm saying. You two remind me of each other. Basically, I
was looking behind me like, where's Lee?
I'm just saying. He would, if he was watching this, he'd be like, yes. Honestly.
To be honest, I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen any of the shows when you've had other guests apart from me. Sorry.
I'm joking.
Look, I know Lee is very vociferous, and he's you can see that when you cut him, he bleeds red. Not literally like us, obviously, but he's an Arsenal boy. and I'm not going to disagree with anything that he says because obviously it's his club, it's the team that he supports. Yeah, I'm going to have my own opinions, but I'm not going to turn around and say, "Oh, you're chatting rubbishly." You go in, week out. I don't, so I don't know.
That's it. But from Koscielny, you absolutely agree. And to be honest, it's hard to disagree. I feel like generally, any Arsenal fan would tell you this, if they're honest, if we give away a penalty or somebody gets sent off and Xhaka isn't on the pitch, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Koscielny. I mean, the thing that he did on in that cup final. I mean, Robbie, what was your reaction to that? I heard you mention before that it was unforgivable.
I remember thinking at the time, like, in any other walk of life, that's a sackable offence. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've just put your entire squad, your entire team, and perhaps, probably not, but perhaps your manager's job in jeopardy.
Yeah.
I agree with what Stel said about Koscielny. Like, and without wanting to sound like a bit of a bigot or a xenophobe, sooner or later, a Frenchman's going to behave like a Frenchman. And Koscielny does that an awful lot, that I think he's a sulker, yeah? That what Stel says about he doesn't command, he doesn't lead, he seems to have a lot of really, like, poor concentration. And truth be told, I think I agree with Stel. You've got 3 good central defenders, but are all of them upgradable? Absolutely. Where do you get the upgrade from? Well, that's the question. That's the real question. Harry Maguire's gone to Leicester this week, and I think somebody like Harry Maguire would be a very good project for Arsenal.
But we've already got one in holding.
Exactly, Robbie. The thing is, with Arsenal, they don't need potential. They need finished articles. That's the problem that they've had for the past 4 or 5 seasons. The only finished articles they've really had are Sanchez, Ozil, Ramsey.
Ramsey was a project, to be fair.
Yeah, but he was. But what I'm saying, in the past few seasons, he's been the finished article, hasn't he? About 2-3 seasons, he's been pretty decent. So you don't need projects.
You see,
Cazorla?
I agree with you guys, but my argument is, see, central defender, people ask me, would you buy a central defender? Why? That I feel that could add something to the team, because like you guys say, I don't think we need a project. We've got projects and potential in Chambers and Holding. I'm talking about finished articles. And Van Dijk is one, and Liverpool cocked that up. And then Koulibaly from Napoli is the other.
I've seen Koulibaly play, and as good as he is on the ball, as quick as he is, he's got these brain lapses.
Yeah.
He's got these brain lapses, and listen, don't get it twisted.
Concentration, boys.
Don't get it twisted, right?
Yeah.
You know, you hear these things about this player is outstanding. You know, Dembele and Aubameyang and this and that. They're fantastic. They are good players, but don't forget, you got too many Twitter hipsters that hype up these players too much. Dries Mertens is a fantastic footballer, but is he worth 70, 80, 90 million like people are talking about? No, he's not. And Koulibaly, I'm sorry, like, you know, I hate to bring up United, but, you know, we brought Lindelof, who's a fantastic central defender. He's proven, even at international level, at Champions League level. Eric Bailly was a relatively unknown player, but is an international defender for Ivory Coast. We spent £65 million on him, and then, you know, City spent £50 million on John Stones. You know,
Liverpool are going to spend 80 on Van Dijk.
Yeah, exactly. So, listen, there's okay, because of the TV money from BT. There's going to be overinflated prices. You're going to see players leaving for double, treble, quadruple what they're actually worth. And that's obviously because teams can now say, well, you've got the money, so you can afford to spend it. And a player is only worth as much as a team is willing to spend on them. So if Arsenal feel, or if Arsene Wenger feels that, I don't know, Mark Bartra is worth 40 million quid, and Dortmund say, well, no, we want 60. If Wenger actually wants him, he'll spend that money. And I think this summer, as I said on our show, sorry to give it a plug, I said it about 3 weeks ago, Arsenal need to spend at least 200 M's, at least 200 million this summer to even think about competing for a top 4, not for the title, to even think about competing for the top 4. Because this squad that you've got is the same problem as United have, or should I say had, because Mourinho's shaking up now. You've got two players that are settled. You've got two players that are settled.
Let me pick up on that point. I said yesterday, do you realistically, and I said this to Lee, I said, do you see Arsenal spending 220 million on the 3 players we're linked with? And I said, honestly, no, I don't see it. But I know you tweeted me today and you said, listen, mark my words, Wenger will spend 200 million pounds. And I'm like, we're talking about the same Arsene Wenger, right? The man was probably had a sweat on when he spent 90 million last summer.
No. See, the time's different now. Things have changed because he was able to keep his hands in his pocket and not spend as much, because he did spend. Let's be honest, he did spend, but he chose not to spend as much because he didn't have to, because he got in that top 4 place. He got the top 4 trophy. Do you know what I mean? Now times are different, right? You're competing for the Europa League, and I'll tell you what, he saw what we were like in the Europa League last season. We struggled last season. Our form at the back end of the season. Forget this whole you played negative football. We didn't play negative football. We played the football that we had to play because we had so many injuries as a result of this Europa League. People don't realize that when you're flying 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles, 6,000 miles to the middle of Russia, right? And they're having to fly back. They play on a pitch where you can grow carrots, and then they fly back. It takes its toll on the body, right? Pogba had a hamstring injury for the last 6 weeks of the season. I don't know why he played in the international the other day, but it takes its toll. Wenger has got 2 options now, right? And it's pretty simple. The first option is to either go for a top 4 place, right, which is going to be very, very difficult, especially next season, especially when you see the likes of Everton spending money now. They're spending money from now, right? United are going to strengthen, City are going to strengthen, Liverpool are going to strengthen, Spurs are going to strengthen, Chelsea. That's 6. So Wenger's got to be sitting there thinking, right, if I want a top 4 place, I need to spend money, right? But then he's going to be thinking, well, hang about, then there's the other route, the second route, which United took, and that was to win the Europa League and then get into the Champions League that way. But then again, he's still going to need to spend, because next season it's going to be even tougher. And the reason why it's going to be even tougher is because previously, before us, it was Sevilla that won it 3 years on the bounce. And it was only when Sevilla won it the previous, not last season, season before they won it, that was the first time that the Champions League space was available. And that's how they got into the Champions League. Right now, it's up for grabs. And people have seen how United have taken it serious. And they're like, whoa, hang about. If the biggest club, or one of the biggest clubs in the world, is taking this trophy serious, we're going to start taking it serious. So Wenger's now thinking, well,
that last point. But here's the thing, and I'll throw this one at you, Robbie. We were here this time last year having this exact same discussion about Wenger needing to spend money just to get into the top 4, because you have 6 other teams. And I put Everton in that bracket. 6 other teams that are going to be spending money and are going to be improving, right? And we had the same discussion. And for some unusual reason, he went into the season and didn't spend that money. And even if you want to just get over the anger that he's talking about, we missed the top 4 by 1 point instead of aiming for the title like you should, even if you want to take that statement of his, the first game we played was against you guys, against Liverpool. The players in place for that game.
Well,
you're nickel and diming and watching other targets just go, and it's happening again. That's my frustration.
Well, yeah, you've got to take into account that last summer, of course, there was the European Championship, so players were away. It's become very much a thing where they don't really like managers and agents sniffing around the players whilst the tournament's going on. And to be fair, I think that's 110% correct. We all know tapping up goes on. We've seen in the past that obviously Wenger went to the World Cup and tapped up Sanchez, and that's how they got hold of Sanchez. N'Golo, what's he called?
Kante.
Thank you. N'Golo Kante was obviously tapped up by Chelsea. It was a done deal before the season ended. We've seen something very similar with Van Dijk that Liverpool have made an absolute balls of. And I think, whilst I agree, and it is hugely, hugely frustrating, this issue is something that has absolutely dogged Wenger for the last, I'm going to say, 6 or 7 years. That it's been late arrivals. Stel, you'll remember that game early in the season about 5 years ago when United beat them 8-3, was it?
8-2, yeah.
And it seemed like he deliberately put kids out to say, I need some money to spend. In terms of who, I agree with everything Stel said. Like, it's an inflated market. It always is. Arsenal have the ability to attract players because players want to play with Sanchez and Ozil, and players want to live in London. But you're going to be you are definitely going to be playing the premium. And
But Rob,
you know that is a sticking point with him, isn't it?
Rob, can I just cut you off there? You know when you said living in London, that doesn't apply anymore because where there's money, players are going to go, right? We've seen with Man City, we've seen with Liverpool, even Everton now, right? If there's money, they're going to go. And let's be 100% honest, and I don't want to bring up current affairs.
Yeah.
But with what's been happening in London for the past 3 or 4 months, is a footballer going to really want to come to London, knowing how unsafe it is? How are they going to bring up their children in the city?
They live in Hertfordshire with the rest of them, probably, won't they?
Well, London is still a draw, though. It's still a draw. I appreciate your point about the dangers of a city, but you, again, without trying to be too morbid about it, look at Manchester. Look at what happened in Manchester.
No, I understand. Anywhere. No, I agree. It could happen anyway. It could happen in wherever. It could happen in the desert for what I know. But my point is, because of the way scaremongering is, and because of the way that social media is, and because of the way that the media in general throughout the world is, right, footballers are going to be less inclined to come here, right, unless they've got that big wad of cash there to say, right, you know, this is worth your while. We'll give you double what you're earning. We'll give you triple what you're earning. Because now they're saying, well, hang about, I'll join you, but it's not really that safe. So I want an extra 100 grand on top, extra 50 grand on top. And teams will pay that if they want these players. And that's how everything just goes out of control.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with you there, Stel. It's what would concern me if I was an Arsenal fan is there is always this inherent desire to have everything yesterday. There is still very much a culture of we want our cake and eating it, and that is the byproduct of the success that Wenger had, you know, when he arrived for a good 15 years or so. But where are they going to go? Are they going to sign players based solely on playing them in Europe? Are they going to be able to get through like the early rounds of the Europa League by playing some of their youngsters? Are we going to see like Maitland-Niles and players like this? That's a difficult question. Wenger cannot just rip up his ethos and his credo and the way that he's done everything for the last 20 years because the Arsenal fans don't like it. Because that's not really how an ethos or a credo or a culture inside of a club works. And if you do, you might as well resign. And he's not going to do that. He's just signed a new tour, hasn't he? So what does he need? He needs somebody lightning quick up front. He needs somebody that's truly rapid. He needs to get rid of some toxic players as well. It's not just about bringing players in. It's about getting rid of people like, you know, I don't want to see, what's he called? The Frenchman that plays up front, Giroud. He'd be the first one at the door for me. But, you know, there's things that Arsenal can do. I agree. In a perfect world, it would all be sorted out by now. And they'd have 3 or 4 players and it'd be all cushy and everyone would be really, really happy. But until Sanchez and or Ozil get sorted out, nothing will happen, right? Because they are a big draw to bring players into the club.
Well, you guys mentioned him earlier. I'll come back to Giroud because I want to make a particular point about him. But Arsene Wenger, do you believe, and this is to both of you, quick fire answer, that he has the ability to bring Arsenal another title? As fans of opposing teams, opinion, do you believe Arsene Wenger has the ability to bring us a title in the next 2 years?
No.
Stel?
You know what? I would never rule him out. I'd never rule out the Italians at a World Cup, or I'd never rule out the Germans at a World Cup. I would never rule Wenger out in doing something like that. Do you remember when he said that Arsenal could go the whole season unbeaten? Everyone laughed at him. What happened a year later? I know times have changed. However, having said that, we got to bear in mind is that look at the season Chelsea had. They didn't have European football, and they won the league with consummate ease, man. It wasn't even a challenge. Now, I'm not saying that Arsenal will do that, but I'm not saying they can't do that. This is what you got to bear in mind is that if Wenger doesn't take the Europa League serious and he starts playing kids in there and thinks, well, you know, it's too much of a hassle, he'll go all out for the league title. And I bear in mind that you're going to have United in the Champions League, Liverpool in the Champions League, City in the Champions League, Chelsea in the Champions League, Spurs in the Champions League. So there's 5 of the big boys all in the Champions League, right? Obviously, they're not going to be just focused on the Champions League, but they're going to have one eye on it. And this is where Arsenal can really do it. If Arsenal can get over this funk of dropping points at places like Bournemouth and West Brom, and if you can buy 1 or 2 players that I like how United when we signed Berbatov. I mean, we signed him because he could put these teams to the sword. Do you know what I mean? You don't have those players. You got 1 or 2, but they don't do it enough. You can't rely on Sanchez the whole time because the guy's going to get burnt out. Like I said, I would not put it past Arsenal to win the league in the next year. I'm not saying they will. Don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I didn't
way to go with the quick fire answer, though. Right.
I understand where I understand where you're coming from, Stel, but honestly, I think there's more chance of Sprout and a fanning on the elbow because they just are not. This is my problem with the culture inside the club. I understand what he's trying to do, but until he gets rid of some of them bellends that cause trouble and the Instagram wankers, as I like.
But how do you know he won't? But how do you know he won't? No, see, this is the thing.
I hope he does. If he does, it's game on. But
it's the 16th of June, right? And there are people, calling the Samaritans. Like, I'm on the suicide watch for my mates, my Arsenal fan mates. I'm like calling every 5 minutes. Like, are you all right? Like, Arsenal, Everton have signed the goalkeeper. I want to kill myself. What are we doing? It's the 16th of June. The transfer window don't open until the 1st of July. They can't actually physically buy anyone until the 1st of July.
Here's the thing, though, Steph. Apart from the fact that we've seen this dance before, do you know what makes it that much worse? Seeing rivals doing something. For flip's sake, are doing something.
Well, of course
Liverpool, for all of their efforts, and I don't think they'll get Van Dijk unless Southampton have a complete change of heart. I think at some point Southampton had to draw the line.
He's not going
they
anywhere
had to
else.
Draw the line.
Chiggy, he's not going anywhere else. It will probably happen on the last day of the season, on the last day of the window, but he's not going anywhere else because he's already told everybody he don't want to go anywhere else.
I'll come back to Van Dijk, but
listen, hear this, right? You mentioned Everton, they signed those 2 players, right? Okay, did it bother you that they signed? Who's the fellow they bought from Ajax?
Klaassen.
Right, Klaassen. Does it bother you that they signed Klaassen? Is he a player that you would want at Arsenal?
Project player?
Oh, no, because we've got similar players.
But how old is he? He's 27, isn't he? How old is he?
24.
He's 20. Okay, he's 24. He's 25, 20. Okay, he's mid-20s, right? So you don't buy a player at mid-25, mid-20s to be a project. You buy him because he's almost there. Would he even get in the Arsenal team? Really? If Cazorla's fit? But this is what I'm saying. Like, people are losing. Okay, I understand why they're angry because of Pickford. Because Pickford is a fantastic goalkeeper. I like Pickford. I think he's one of the best in the league. And for Everton to sign him for that amount of money, I think is a masterstroke. But okay, I understand the frustration that other teams are making moves now. But are these 2 players that you would have in your team in your starting lineup? This is what I'm asking Arsenal fans. Are you just annoyed that Everton are signing players? Is that why you're annoyed that they're actually signing players?
You're taking it too literally. It's not the players that we're jealous of.
But how's someone going to take it? This is what I'm trying to understand.
You just said yourself, mate. You just said yourself. We need to spend 200 million to get in the top 4 now. One of those competitors.
Can you?
One of those competitors in Everton. What are we doing? Sitting on our hands.
Yeah, but Everton spent just over 70 million last summer, but people don't talk about that. Everton spent over 70 million pounds.
30 grand on Balassi. 30 million, excuse me, on Balassi.
Right. Okay. So there you go. So it's not as if they haven't spent before. It's just that they're doing their business before other people are. Yeah. Okay. Arsenal fans are getting really impatient because listen, the season just finished. Let the players go on holiday for Christ's sake. Let them have a bit of a rest.
Just forget transfers for at least 3 days, or at least 30 minutes. Forget about transfers. You know, the first. Listen, do not be surprised, right? If a lot of these deals were done in January and players that weren't signed in January because Wenger doesn't want to bring in players in January and he wants to sign them at the end of the season. Listen, there's this notion, and it's a really stupid opinion that people have that, like, oh, you know, you have to sign a player in January. You don't have to sign a player in January. You do not have to, right? And the fact is, clubs are actually saving money by not signing them in January. You know that, because if they sign them in January, then that means that they need to pay their wages until May, whereas they're buying in the summer and then they give them a pre-season, they bed in, and then they can start paying their wages from there. But you know, that's just simple. But what I'm saying is, right, there's no need to get all bent out of shape that Everton are signing players and you lot aren't yet being the operative word. Wenger knows who he wants. I'm pretty sure he knows who he wants, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get a lot of players that he wants. I just think people need to just chill a bit, because Liverpool haven't signed anyone. Nope. City have signed one, but no. Spurs haven't bought anyone. Chelsea haven't bought anyone. Southampton haven't bought anyone. Burnley haven't bought anyone. None of the promoted teams have bought anyone. So why? It's like, oh, we'll go buy it now. It's like, you know, when you see your missus and like she goes online and she sees that there's a sale. Oh my god, I need to buy this bag now. I need to buy this pair of shoes now because it gets sold out. Why? This
little passage of yours would have held so much more water if you didn't say the exact same thing to me last year. And the exact same concern I had last year with you.
But I didn't say that last year, though.
No, yeah, you did. You said to me, oh, don't worry, Wenger will spend money. Wenger will spend money. Oh, it's yeah, no, he did it in the end. But then we had to suffer a 4-3 loss to Liverpool. We had to draw our second game to Leicester away. If we had the players in place in the first place.
Chiggy, take a breath. Chiggy, take a breath. And remember, European Championships. Last summer was the European Championships. So the accessibility, as I said to you before, the accessibility to players wasn't there. All right? It wasn't there, mate. So whilst I agree, and yes, it feels like ever-decreasing circles, and you're right to be upset. You're talking about 2 lads that have gone to Everton. Everton are a side that have serious problems in midfield, one with a guy with mental health problems and the other one's going to Preston North End, and 2 of the shittest goalkeepers you have ever seen. Everton need to strike while the iron's hot. Everton's model is completely different to yours. Everton have brought in that guy from Leicester to go and find golden nuggets and shine them up. So I understand where you're coming from.
And they're selling their best player as well.
Yeah.
They're selling their best player as well.
Let me ask this question then. Would you or would you not consider Everton a rival for a top 4 place?
No,
top 6.
No, because
why not?
Okay, because first of all, they're selling their 24-goal striker.
Correct.
Who's going to get him 24 goals next season? Who?
A-N other. Does not compute.
What? Mirallas?
Yeah.
Lookman? Who? What? But is Delafeu going to come back and then be this guy?
Is he going to get all them goals? Lookman looks a good player. Can't see him scoring loads of goals though.
There you go.
I don't even understand this point because you can say that about Arsenal. We're about to lose Alexis Sanchez.
No.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Because you're seeing things in a completely different way to we are, right? My point is, Everton will lose a 24-goal striker, right? They ain't gonna get a 24-goal striker, a 25-goal striker. They ain't gonna get one. But Arsenal have goals all over the pitch. Walcott will score, Chamberlain will score, Xhaka will score, Ozil will score, Ramsey will score. That's 5 players. Who's gonna score Everton's goals? Who? Barkley, 1 in every 6.
Barkley's going as well.
Well, there you go. Mirallas, this new guy that they bought from Ajax, who can't even pronounce his name, who got bullied by Fellaini in a Europa League final.
Yeah, but that's what Fellaini does, isn't it? Come on, Stel.
But this is what I'm saying. In the biggest game, in the biggest game of his season, in the game that could have got Ajax into the Champions League, where was he? He was in Fellaini's pocket.
Yeah.
So if he can't handle one Premier League midfielder, what's he going to do over here? I'm not going to say he's going to fail, but he's not going to be supplying goals. He's not the answer. Everton are doing exactly what you said. They've got 2 rubbish keepers, so they're bringing in Pickford, and they've got a midfield of Gareth Barry and who?
Like who?
Tom Cleverley, James McCarthy.
No,
Cleverley's leaving, isn't he? Yeah, Cleverley's
they
gone.
got Schneiderlin. They got Schneiderlin. They got the.
But this is what I don't understand.
Tom Davies.
So you're picking. You're picking at. So you're picking at Everton's weak team from the previous season. You guys have just said that they brought in Pickford because they have 2 crack keepers.
Yeah.
To me, that sounds like strengthening. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Strengthening. That is strengthening. Of course,
So,
but Chiggy, you've got to appreciate, right? The way they want to do business is completely different to the way that you want to do business. You wouldn't look at those 2 players. There's no way that Arsenal looked at Davy Klaassen and Pickford and went, yeah, they're the boys for us. There's no way. And if they are, then you really are in trouble.
but what I don't understand is that if Everton are strengthening, they finished 7th last year. All right, a long way off, but they finished 7th last year. Strengthening to improve on that 7th. We only finished 5th. We only finished 2 places.
They're not going to improve on that 7th. They're not going to improve on that 7th. I'm telling you this now. They will not. Yeah. Listen. Okay, I've got a little soft spot for Everton because I know Fran Alonso. I know their assistant manager. I know him quite well. He's a lovely guy, and what he's doing there with Koeman is absolutely fantastic. Okay, but when you look at Everton's squad, right, from 1 to 23 or whatever, right, I cannot see how they're going to be competing for anything other than like a top 7 from 7 below. Okay, because as I said, they've only got a decent goalkeeper now, right? Who's their right back? Right? Who?
James Coleman.
Coleman. Is he recovered from his injury? Is he going to be the same? Is he going to be the same player?
Going to be the same player.
Then they got
David. Good youngsters. Come on. They got Holgate.
Listen. Their under 23s won the championship. They got I think they had 4 or 5 players in the England under 20 World Cup. Yeah. Okay. But you're saying but the average age of a footballer, a Premier League player making his debut in the Premier League is 24. Okay. That's the average age of a youngster making their debut in the Premier League. So don't tell me that any of these Everton players are going to walk straight into the team because they've won a World Cup. Don't give me that. I'm not having it. Right? There's one of them was at West Brom last season. Right? So you look at that Everton squad from 1 to 23, they will not get above 7th place. They will not.
How do you know that? If I told you the season before Leicester won the league that Leicester were going to even finish in the top 4.
Okay. Since you're going to be pedantic. Since you're going to be pedantic, you said, "Oh, no one predicted Leicester will win the league," but yet you're saying that Arsenal won't win the league in the next 2 years.
But I don't understand.
This is swings and roundabouts.
And how you're telling me on the one hand, wait until the summer's over. You never know what Wenger's going to do, and then on the other hand, you're making a bold statement saying, "Well, Everton aren't going to finish above 7." How does the 2 things make sense?
Because
why could the 2 things possibly make sense?
Okay, tell me something then. So tell me, who do you think the top 6 for next season will be?
The top 6 as it stands?
For next season. Who's going to be the top 6 for next season? Who do you think?
I don't know. The way I'm feeling at the moment...
You can't pick 6 teams.
The way I'm feeling at the moment...
You know,
finish outside of the top 6.
I'll give you Samaritan's number. Do you want me to see if you're okay every day? Do you want me to?
No, I'm pretty good still. But if you want me to pick 6 teams,
this is what I'm saying.
Let me pick 6 teams for you. Let me appease you. Let me pick 6 teams for you. Appease you. Right? City, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, Spurs, Everton. There's your 6.
What about Man City?
I said City.
What about Man City?
I said City.
So you said Tottenham. You said.
I said City, Spurs, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, Everton. There's your 6.
Everton. So basically, you're ruling Arsenal out. Yeah.
The way it stands, yep.
Okay. So let me get this straight. Arsenal haven't sold anyone, but they haven't bought anyone. Everton are effectively selling their best player.
And their second best player.
And the second best player, and they're bringing in a goalkeeper and a midfielder.
To my knowledge, is the Everton Lukaku deal done? Because I don't see that in any.
Well, he said that he's leaving. He said he's leaving. For me, that's enough. If he said he's leaving, he's leaving.
He's gone. Hey, Chiggy.
I've not seen any.
He's going back to
until it's
Chelsea,
confirmed. It's not confirmed. Until it's confirmed, it's not confirmed.
Okay, wait, listen, we're gonna be going on about this all day. Listen, if you honestly think that Arsenal aren't going to be a top 6 side next season, then
you asked me to pick 6 teams. The way I feel at the moment, apparently insisted on me picking those 6 teams now. I picked those 6 teams now.
Bro, I'm looking at your chat room.
I feel now.
I'm looking at your chat room. Yeah, Chris Wall, right? Chris Wall. I like Chris Wall. I'm going to change my name to Chris Wall. My next child, I'm going to call it Chris Wall. Common fact that if you said a 20+ striker, you will struggle to finish in the top 6. Simple.
Cool. And so if we sell Alexis, the same thing applies, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you got the difference is Arsenal can attract a 25-goal striker, and Arsenal can bring in a Lacazette. Everton cannot.
Yeah,
I don't understand. You're acting like Everton are some bum club. I don't understand your logic in that.
No,
I don't even understand the logic of.
Hey, listen, Chiggy, they're not a bum club. They're not, but they are a club. As Stella's already pointed out, they have some fantastic youngsters coming through, right? But they are about to lose 2 of their very best players. Now,
I can bet. Honestly, I'll bet money for any charity you like. Everton will finish in the top 6.
Well, above Arsenal?
Not necessarily above Arsenal. I'm saying in the top 6 because for some reason, I was convinced they won't finish above 7th.
Chig, just let me make the point.
Finish above 7th.
Listen, Stel just mentioned Lacazette, right? If Lacazette comes to the Premiership, do you think he's going to go to Everton or Arsenal? Thinking about it.
Sorry, if Lacazette comes to the Premier League, is that what you just said?
And even then, there's no guarantees that he's going to be a success in the Premiership. Right? Mm-hmm. You've got to take that into account. Doesn't matter what player it is. We said it at the start of the show. You've got to give everybody a year, and a lot of transfers are literally 50-50 whether or not they work. Literally 50-50. So Everton have brought in 2 players that are an upgrade on.
So are you telling me, Rob, that it's a guarantee that Everton will finish lower? Is that what you're telling me?
The only guarantee is that Everton won't get relegated. That's the only guarantee. Everton will not get relegated under Ronald Koeman. There's only guarantee.
There's only 2 guarantees in life, and that's death and taxes.
Yeah. To be fair, that's true also.
I'm telling you this now, Everton will not come above Arsenal next season. Do not be silly. Do not be silly.
They'll finish in the top 7. They'll finish in the top 6, I should say.
Silly. You're being silly.
I'm convinced.
You're being silly.
And the thing is that you picked on this Everton thing.
Do you like Z-Cars or something? Honestly. Do you like Brookside? Do you watch Brookside? Do you like Z-Cars? Do you eat toffees? Are you like secret Everton fan? Honestly, like,
hang on. Whoa, hey.
No, but I don't raise.
Are you thinking about trading in and becoming a blue nose?
Hold on.
Because that's you and me done. If you're fucking doing that now, that's you and me done.
Hold on. Because it weren't me.
Where's John Silver? I haven't seen him in the chat room.
Who brought up Everton though? Because it wasn't me.
Yeah,
it was a comparison.
I didn't bring it up.
I brought up Everton.
You brought it up because of the way Arsenal fans reacted to it. So yes. I, as an Arsenal fan, I'm trying to explain why Arsenal fans are reacting to Everton strengthening. No, I'm not being a particularly pedantic, as you called me. I'm not particularly becoming a toffee, as you've also suggested. No, Stel. What I'm actually saying...
I asked the question. I asked you if you're becoming a toffee. I didn't say you are.
No, hold on. As an Arsenal fan... Okay, sorry, you asked me a question. Let me not put words into your mouth. As an Arsenal fan, I'm trying to defend an Arsenal fan's position as to why, on the 16th of June, as you pointed out the date, are reacting to Everton strengthening the way they are and us seemingly not doing anything.
Okay. Chig, let me explain something to you, right? I can understand Arsenal fans getting all bent out of shape if Everton brought in someone like, I don't know, let's say a world-class goalkeeper, David De Gea. Okay, if Everton signed David De Gea and then they signed Kylian Mbappe, I could understand why Arsenal fans would get annoyed if Everton signed those two players. But it's Jordan Pickford and some... I keep forgetting his name. Klaassen. Okay. All right. Okay. So, remember that last shining light Dutch midfielder that came over that ended up at Southampton? What was his name? Jordi Clasie. What happened with him?
Well, he'd be going to Liverpool, wouldn't he? Because we signed players from Southampton and nowhere else.
Right, okay, but here's what I'm saying.
I'm joking.
Because the reason why Arsenal fans, or a lot of Arsenal fans, I'm not generalising, the reason why a lot of Arsenal fans are reacting is because Everton have bought players and Arsenal haven't. It's not who they sign, it's because they are spending money. But I'm not saying that Arsenal won't spend money, so you just need to chill a bit. Just wait. Enjoy your holiday. The sun is out. The weather's beautiful. It's 28 degrees. Like, we're having a heat wave this weekend. Put your shorts on, cut the grass, make some lemonade. I don't know. Just don't worry about Arsenal's transfers till like it starts raining, which will be like next week. So whatever.
And the point I'm making is that the two players that Everton have bought in represent strengthening. They represent strength.
They do. Yeah, listen, they are, as we said, I think we can all agree, all three of us can agree.
They're intending to strengthen. It's a statement of intent. They are intending on strengthening. But when you look at the bigger picture and you look at that Everton squad, Barkley might be gone, Lukaku might be gone. So you're taking out, you're pulling their legs off. It's like when you get daddy long legs and you pull their legs off. That's what you're doing to Everton by getting rid of those two players. They're not going to bring in players that are going to make 6 or 7 assists and 15, 20 goals. They're not. So you don't need to worry about Everton finishing above Arsenal. It's not going to happen.
And why you're so certain of it. That's what I don't understand. I don't even understand why that's even encouraging. I don't even understand why the idea of that is encouraging ridicule. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you're so certain about one thing, but then telling me to be open-minded about another.
Let me handle this.
I don't get that concept.
Chris, I think both Stel and I have tried to like we're not trying to placate Gooners, and we're not trying to take the piss, and we are being quite sincere. I've already said to you the way that Wenger does his business, the culture that he has created, the credo, the ethos, the way that he operates is not going to change, right? We all agree that it is wrong, proven, that starting the season poorly by not having your players bedded in time is a bad thing, and it doesn't work. We all agree with that. But he's not going to change it. It's a bit like saying, "Oh, look, you've got diabetes. You might want to stop eating, chocolate bars, or you'll lose a foot." And then, see them 3 years later, and they've lost a foot. It's one of those things that he's just not going to change. He's not. That's all there is to it. Everton are a specific case. I understand why you're worried about Everton. I do, because I'm a Liverpool fan. I should be worried about Everton, but I'm not, because I live in the fucking real world where I know that they aren't going to score any fucking goals when Lukaku goes. And that's the fucking brass tacks of it, mate. It really is.
I'm just going to move off this Everton subject, but all I'm going to say is part of me hopes that they start blisteringly, because you're going to see the smuggest.
They might well do.
You have ever seen.
Let me just say something. Right? Let me say something here, right? Last season, not the season gone, the season before, Watford had Igalo and Troy Deeney up front, right? What happened to Watford when those two stopped scoring? Right. Middlesbrough. What happened to Middlesbrough this season? They weren't scoring goals. What happened?
Bye.
West Ham. What happens when their strikers get injured and they're not scoring goals? What happens when Stoke don't have, Peter Crouch in the team? I'm giving you examples here of teams that when you don't have a striker that gets you goals, look at Sunderland next season without Jermaine Defoe, and look at Bournemouth next season with Jermaine Defoe.
But most teams, when they lose a striker, don't accept it.
No, I know they don't.
It's conclusion that you're assuming that Everton won't find a player that they can replace with Lukaku.
Ben Teke?
No, I'm not saying. Okay, listen. I'm not saying they won't find the player to replace Lukaku. I'm saying they won't find a player as good as Lukaku. How about that? You can replace anyone. I can replace a vase with another vase, but it's not going to be £1,000 vase. It's going to be a 20 quid one from Oxfam. But it's not going to do the same job.
Expensive, Jesus.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I've got Greek misses, isn't it? Bloody, you know, whatever. Carry on.
Another point, a thing, just the very last thing about Everton. Remember that Koeman arrived at the club. He was announced quite early, but he didn't arrive at the club until 2 weeks into pre-season. Yeah? So they've got a huge amount of work to do at that club. They did really, really well. A lot of that was down to Lukaku. But are they going to go out and get somebody to replace him who's going to get 20 goals? I would be very, very, very surprised. Let's put it that way. Moving on. Come on, Chiggy. Moving on. Come on.
All I'm going to say, after Arsenal, come on, you Blues, because I tell you.
Oh, fuck off.
I tell you.
John Silver's in the chat room, man.
So let's get on United.
John
then.
Silver's in the chat room.
Hello, John.
Hello.
I've seen him. And I've seen him. United. Let's get on United.
I look so different without the hair, bro. Are you serious? Are you serious? Come on.
I
love John Silver, man.
United. Robbie, where do you believe United will finish this season? What sort of challenges do you think that they'll make?
Minimum easy. And quarterfinals, semi-finals of the Champions League. Easy.
Where do you think they'll finish?
I think they'll finish top 4 easy. Easily top 4. And as I said, quarterfinals, maybe semi-finals of the Champions League, because they have a team that is improving. They've some really, really astute signings, and there are also players that will make a big impact in Europe. If they can find a striker up front, looking like being Morata, business. Absolute business.
Higher than Liverpool?
Probably. Listen, 2 minutes. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
And Stel, where do you believe that United needs strengthening?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a tough one, because beginning of last season, I said Mourinho needs a season to see what he's got in this squad. And I think he knew from the Chelsea game when we got an absolute tonking, he knew then how much work needed to be done. I said it on your show beginning of last season. Smalling, Jones, I said Rojo in that, but he's improved to be found in Mourinho. Darmian, Shaw, the players, they're not good enough. But the back end of the season just gone, I cannot fault any of them, because the games were coming thick and fast. He had a system there. We were digging out results. Okay, we lost at your place in that White Hart Lane, but in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter because we had the Europa League to focus on. The objective was Champions League football. He got it. I think the objective now for next season is to challenge for the title. He has to challenge for the title. He has to mount a challenge. And that's not just because of the money that he's going to spend or the money that he has spent. It's because it's Manchester United. It's because we now have that winning manager, the manager that is proven that he can win trophies. Winning 2 trophies in his first season is fantastic. Not 3, 2. Where do I think we're going to finish? I'm going to say top 4. I'm going to say top 4 because, again, I think he knows which players that he wants. He's proven that he's made us very difficult to beat. Very difficult to beat now. And now he's brought in Lindelof. He'll bring in a couple more players. I think Fabinho is going to come in. I also heard Michael Keane is going to come in. I don't know how true that is. But Morata, good player, very good player. My main concern is that if he's cut for the Premier League, that's my main concern. You do see Spanish strikers are very hit and miss. We saw Torres at Liverpool set the Premier League on fire, but then when he went to Chelsea, he bombed. Not every Spanish striker has done bits in the Premier League, and that's a concern. My other concern is Juventus didn't want him. Real Madrid are willing to sell him twice. So is he really that good? But then again, who am I to question Jose Mourinho? He came in, as I said, he had an objective to get us into the Champions League. He didn't get it through the Premier League, but he got it through the Europa League. So that's one objective, and he won 2 trophies. He brought in Ibrahimovic. People were laughing. Some journalists were saying he wouldn't get 10. He got double plus 4. I cannot fault the guy. And as much as people say that he plays negative football, as much as they say, oh, he's a stain on the English game and the way that he behaves in the media or whatever, I don't care. He brings results. He brings trophies. And that's effectively what the name of the game is, isn't it? To win, by hook or by crook. So he's done it. And next season, as I said, he has to go for the league title. He has to. And get a respectable place in the Champions League. I don't expect us to win it. Quarterfinals minimum. To be honest, I'll settle with quarterfinals in the Champions League the way that we were playing back in the last season. But yeah, he's got a challenge for the title. And a top 4 place, I think we get top 4. A short answer made long, as usual.
No, title challenge.
I said he has to. I said top 4. The thing is, it's difficult for me to say because Spurs are going to be playing at Wembley. It's going to be a different kettle of fish there. The stadium's going to make a big difference. The length of the pitch, the width of the pitch is going to make a big difference. If you look at Spurs this season, they struggled at places where the pitch was wider and longer. Anfield, White Hart Lane, Arsenal didn't get any points there, did they? So going to Wembley is going to be a completely different thing. The pressure is going to be there for Pochettino. 2 years on the bounce, he's come second. They're going to need to step it up. Can he handle that pressure? Can the players handle that pressure? I don't know. Liverpool, again, back in the Champions League, there's this history with Liverpool in the Champions League. There's this romance there. There's going to be more pressure on Klopp. Are his players going to die in December, January again? He's going to batter them like he does at the beginning of the season, makes them run 12 kilometers per person and, make them play this fast-paced FIFA 17 football. I don't know. And then there's Pep at City. He's going to bring in players, but is he going to restructure that back 4? He's sold. Well, he's released Zabaleta. Sanya's going to go. So you don't know. You just don't know. But as I said, I'm not going to say anything until the season starts because that's when Mourinho is going to have his players. It's going to be his team. He's going to have the players that he wants, the players that he's brought in, and the same should apply for Wenger. You need to give him that time to bring in the players that he wants. There's no point in complaining on the 16th of June that he hasn't brought anyone yet. It doesn't make sense.
Is it Jose's make or break season?
In what sense?
You won 2 cups.
In the sense of a title challenge.
Okay, when you say make or break, I'm thinking, are you saying that he has to mount a challenge, otherwise he gets sacked? Or No, he won't get sacked if he doesn't mount a title charge. The fact is, and as sad as this sounds, the priority for every top Premier League team is to get a Champions League place. It actually isn't to win the league anymore; it's to get a Champions League place. It's sad. It really is sad because when you look at the grand scheme of things, that is what it is. We get a top 4 place. Yay! We win the league. That's what it is these days. It doesn't make sense because I remember winning the title. I was supporting United when I was 5-6 years old, 85, 86. I never seen United win a title. I never thought I was ever going to see United win a title, especially when we lost to West Ham in 92 and then lost to Liverpool. Mark Waters, thank you very much. Cheers, Rob. I never thought I'd see United win the league. And then we've gone on to win all these trophies and all of a sudden there's that level of expectancy. Ask a Liverpool fan what it means to win the title. Ask Rob.
Yeah.
If Liverpool win the title in Rob's lifetime, bloody hell, I don't even know what he's going to do.
won the title in my lifetime. Thank you very much. But
this era.
I know what you mean. Yeah, no, it's the holy grail for Liverpool fans to win the Premier League. Of course it is, but every club looked at it from a different standpoint because I'll take that all day. That's what I want. I'd happily take anything for us to win the Premiership. I was doing my best not to get carried away with it, and I could see what was going to happen, and what happened. In December and January, and it's not something that's a quick fix either. I mean, if you look at it, United are improving. They won 2 trophies last season. They are improving. Jose, he got that last little bit of magic out of Zlatan. which fair dues to them. And all right, they didn't play the best football in the world. The big question is, what are they going to do with Rooney? We're all very interested in that. I don't want to mention Everton, but he might go back there.
He won't get 25 goals.
No, he won't. But yeah, if it will be interesting to see what happens again, like, because I can see Spurs team breaking up, quite simply because they're a selling club. You could see Dyer going to Man United. Sam Wallace has linked them again this evening. What's the right back that plays? Kyle Walker is supposed to be going to City. Somebody will have a sniff around Dele Alli. Will he go? Probably not, but they'll have a sniff. You know, somebody might have a sniff around the Danish lad.
Eriksen.
Another good example of a lad that took time to settle in at a club. You know, I can see them having problems. I agree with what Stel says about playing at Wembley. Everybody raises their game when they play at Wembley as well. You know, you have to take these silly little nuanced things into account in some ways.
Apart from if it's Spurs, to be fair.
Well, you know, I'm not trying to big up Spurs either, but I can see them losing players, important players that.
But see, this is the thing, Rob. I completely agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that, you know, how long are they going to have to go? How long are these players going to be sitting there thinking, okay, we come second twice in a row, we got to the semi-final, but we haven't got anything to prove? See, when I see Spurs fans like bragging about finishing above Man United, I'm like, well, okay, well, yeah, you came second, but what did you win? You won nothing. You had a pitch invasion because what? I don't understand.
Those moral victories are really good, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. But because at the end of the day, you know, you end the season with nothing but second place. You get a run. You don't even get a runners-up medal. You just runners-up. That's all you are. Yeah. And they weren't even runners-up because Chelsea was so far ahead at some point. Yeah. So I'm sorry, but this whole notion that, you know, this is a compact Spurs club and, you know, they've got the foundation there. Don't get me wrong. But how long is someone like Dele Alli going to wait to win a trophy? How long is Vertonghen? How long is Alderweireld going to wait? How long is Kyle Walker? Because let's make no mistake about it, none of these guys are actually Tottenham boys, are they? I mean, apart from Harry Kane, you know, and a few others.
Kieran Trippier and Joshua.
Trippier's from Burnley. He was a Man City Academy player, wasn't he? He was a Man City Academy player. So they don't owe anything to the club. They don't, you know, it's not like they have, you know, Spurs is embedded in their lives, in their DNA. It's not like that. How long is Kyle Walker in the City thinking, well, I'm 27 years old now. I've got an approach from Man City. They do fairly well.
My wages.
Yeah, they do fairly well in the league. You know, they'll challenge for the title. They've got world-class players around. I might want to fancy that. So, you know, this whole notion that Spurs are going to go on to great things. In fact, the worst thing that could happen to Spurs is actually for them to come second twice in a row because the team doesn't think, about Spurs ain't too bad. You know, they're actually better off ending 5th and 6th because no one's going to touch their players. But I don't know. I just think that, you know, next season is going to be another one of those seasons where anything can happen and anything will happen. There's going to be more twists and turns and more Wenger out placards than you can wave your or Robbie's bottle of baby oil out, I guess.
He's here.
And
he's here. Robbie, John Silver. Hang on, we'll give him a bit of a. Go on, we're ready. Hang on. Oh, it's going everywhere. Oh, goodness.
Basically a superstar to these guys at the moment, I tell you. Robbie, do you believe it's Klopp's make or break season?
No.
Third season with you guys?
No. He signed a 7-year deal, mate. Listen, he signed a 7-year deal.
If he's trophyless again,
go on.
If he's trophyless again,
well,
finishes outside the top 4.
Yeah. Listen, there'll be a lot of Twitter fume. Right, there'll be a lot of Twitter fume, and there'll be a lot of fans giving it the big earn about, we should get rid of him. And like, yeah, replace him with who? He's got a 7-year deal. He's got the trust of the management, and he has brought a huge amount of sponsors to the club already himself. I am under no illusion that as a supporter, they would ever listen to me. They listen to the sponsors. If the sponsors say, hang on a minute, this isn't looking very good and we're thinking about pulling out of our 4-year deal, you know, and all of a sudden I'm not going to see Daniel Sturridge eating Subway sandwiches or, Dunkin' Donuts here, there, and everywhere, or whatever bobbins it is. No, honestly, there's no way that they'll get rid of Klopp. Are we going to have a good season? I hope so. There's no guarantees of anything. We're looking to sign Mo Salah. That's been going on and on and on. Again, one of the things there's been a lot of Twitter fume from Liverpool fans about that. He's been playing for Egypt for the last couple of weeks, Salah. So, let's give him a bit of a break. It's also Ramadan. Why don't we give the guy a bit of a break? We settle it on. Nobody else seems to be interested in signing him apart from us. That might change, but if it was going to change, it probably would have by now. Roma have got problems with FFP. They need to sell somebody so they don't get in trouble. We're going to pay 40 million for him. He's got great numbers. He's done very well in the Italian league. He's absolutely rapid, and I think that's the kind of player that we're actually buying him not for the Premiership but to play in Europe. So we're looking around at some other players as well. I firmly believe we're going to get Van Dijk. There's a lot of fannying about going on there. Southampton are obviously upset because they wanted to have some sort of auction between Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Liverpool. And that statement that came out the other week, which, admittedly was really, really crass and embarrassing, that the stuff about we've basically bragging that we tapped him up, was bang out of order. And I understand why Southampton were upset. I would be upset if that happened to us. Oh, no, hang on a minute. It has happened to us several times. And we're not the only club it's happened to. But there's a way to behave, yeah? And we behave badly. That being said, I still expect him to only want to join one club, and we'll have to pay through the nose for him. So we lose money. We're going to pay 70, 80 million pounds for a central defender. The interesting one is whether or not, we just talked about Spurs, didn't we? We said about the potential for their team to break up. The Leipzig team in Germany could also break up. The Monaco team in France could also break up. And you could see a lot of very, very good, talented young players moving into the Premiership and doubling or trebling their money.
Yeah, Lee made that point yesterday. He said that
it's right. So
he felt that Monaco on a big club, because I said, how realistic is it that Monaco will allow so many of their players to go? I mean, we haven't yet mentioned the fact that Bakayaro is linked with Chelsea, which James has brought up in the chat room. And
that's a fair point. Well said, James.
The fact that we're linked with two of those players. City, I believe, are linked with their right or left back Mendy, I believe. Yeah. So, and I was like, are they really going to let all these players go? And Lee was like,
listen, we're going to see. But
they will.
If you are a club, this is the interesting thing. The three clubs that we're talking about here, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, are expected to be fighting on all fronts. John Silver's in the chat room saying, is Salah likely to accept a bit part role? Doesn't matter, mate. He's already decided that he's coming here. Whether he gets a bit part role is entirely up to him. It's entirely up to how he behaves and operates and performs, right? They're talking about moving Coutinho into the middle three. That will be very interesting to see if they can pull that one off. There's players like Forsberg at Leipzig. We were linked with the big chat at Christmas is we offered 40 million to try and get him out of Leipzig at Christmas, and they just were not interested. Naby Keita is the kiddie that we're all very interested in at Liverpool. His numbers are ridiculous. If we want to get him, and again, it sounds like he's been tapped up by Jurgen, we're going to have to drop 60, 70 million pounds to get him. All of a sudden, you're seeing the other side of the coin of what Stel's talking about, that Liverpool are going to have to spend 200 million. And then what do we do with storage? We've got to try and find somebody stupid enough to buy Saka, yeah? We've got to find somebody stupid enough to buy Moreno, yeah? Can we offer him to Arsenal? I don't know. Would you be interested in Moreno? He's been here 2.5 years. He still doesn't speak a word of fucking English.
But they've
not
already
really
signed
the kind of character you want, is he?
They've already signed a left back, though, haven't they? Signed that is he Bosnian or is he?
Yeah, Said Kalelevic. He looks a good player. I've seen him 2 or 3 times. Looks a good player.
Is that who you're
That's
talking
the fella,
about?
yeah. You know I'm not good with names, Chiggy. You fucking
Listen, I only learnt his name the other. John Silver will tell you. I only learnt his name the other day. So,
yeah, gents. What the other thing that we need to take into consideration here, gents, is that it's World Cup year.
correct.
So
that's why we've lost out on Brent Schneider or Bradley Schneider, the German winger. Doesn't want to come to Liverpool because he wants to play every week and he's worried about getting his place in the team in the German side. You know, he's fighting for a shirt with Leroy Sané. Sané's not going to play every week for City.
no, man, no, but he's going to get in the national team. And they got that fella at Ajax as well. Forget his name. Left winger, German. I forget his name. Anyway, I'm rubbish with names.
I know the guy you mean.
And that's a lot of the reason why I don't think Mbappe will actually end up going to Madrid, because, like Stel just made a very good point, it is World Cup year. Everyone is thinking about it. Drew's making noise about leaving, and I'm praying that Wenger hears him and lets him go. I am praying. What are your guys' impression about Drew? Just to start.
Honestly, mate, I can't stand the bloke. I think he's a perfect representation of everything wrong with Arsenal Football Club. I cannot stand him. Yeah, he'll score you goals, but he won't score you important goals. He'll score you the fourth goal when you're 5-0 up against Hull. He'll score you the goal against. He scored goals against Preston in the FA Cup, if you remember. Yeah,
I remember.
You remember it pretty vividly, I imagine, because you were shitting your pants.
Yeah.
But I think, you can do better than him. It's a classic example of a player that there is massive upgrades all over Europe for someone better than him, and someone that will be a leader in your change room, as well. Someone with a positive attitude that will sit in alongside Sanchez and Xhaka and have that bloody-minded determination to win that he just doesn't have. Get rid as quickly as possible. I'll drive him to the fucking airport for you.
And Stel, what is your opinion on Drew? I've never really heard you comment on him too much.
He's a bit like Marmite, actually.
Marshall, maybe then.
Listen, I don't have anything bad to say about his ability. I think he's a very, very good striker. I'm not saying he's world class, but you've seen what he can do when he's on his game. He's good in the air. He's strong. He can hold the ball up. He's a good finisher. One-touch finishing. He's one of the best in the league, I think. Problem is, goes back to mentality. Like what Rob stepped on. And I'm going to step on a point that I'm sure has been made before, and I'll probably get slaughtered for this. But against Bournemouth, he's grabbed an equaliser with 2 minutes to go, and he's too busy celebrating. Get the ball out the net and run to the halfway line, mate. You can win the game. Those 2 points, those extra 2 points, look how important they would have been. Look at hindsight.
Yeah.
You lost out on what? By 1 point over Liverpool, was it? Was it 1 point? I don't know how many points was it.
Yeah, one point to Liverpool.
So he puts that ball in that halfway line and you kick off and you had the momentum. You just scored 3 goals. Grabs a 4th goal and you're laughing. So look, I'm not saying your Champions League aspirations hinged on that result, but what I'm saying is back to the mentality. He scored that cracking goal against Crystal Palace, and he celebrated the week after by scoring and then replicating the dance or whatever he did. But it's the mentality. His head drops. He sulks. I don't know what kind of a character he is in the dressing room. Is he that kind of person that will lead the line? Like remember how Ian Wright was? Ian Wright was such a character. Like even when he wasn't playing, his presence resonated.
Even the most enthusiastic Arsenal fan will agree Drew is no Ian Wright in personality or ability.
Exactly. But this is what I'm saying. When I'm talking about strikers and people that in the dressing room that I've got that influence that can really motivate people. Ian Wright didn't have to play. He could have been on the bench, but his presence there and the way that he behaved and the hyperactivity and all that kind of stuff. That's Ian Wright. You're like, wow, I got Ian Wright. But Giroud is like, what does he do? Does he have a cigarette before every game or something? Or what does he do? Like pose and take a selfie and do this and do that? I don't know, but it's the mentality of this guy. I remember when he signed for Arsenal, I felt sorry for him because it was against Sunderland and he missed like 3 or 4 chances. And people are like, he's signed from Montpellier, he's a flop and this. I'm like, give him time, man. Give him time. And he scored some important goals for you guys. But again, it goes back to the mentality.
For a £12 million signing, he's done well.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think,
but he hasn't done enough.
But I think, yeah. And the funny thing is, and you lot will laugh, I should really let this go, but I can see him going to somewhere like an Everton. Why not?
Probably. Actually, that would be a good fit. Sure, it would be a good fit. It would actually be a good fit.
Why not?
But he wouldn't score 25 goals, Chris. He wouldn't score 25 goals.
I bet he'd score 20 goals. I bet he'd score 20 goals.
Come on.
You're just saying that. You're just saying that to be controversial. Listen, there's only one person that gets the fishing rod out here, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask 2 more questions before we wrap. We go and get out of here and wrap things up and leave everyone to their Friday nights. Alexis Sanchez, very briefly, we talk about mentality. You've just mentioned him about mentality. Do you believe that Alexis Sanchez will leave? To Robbie first, and I'll end with Stel.
I think you'll keep one, sell one, and I imagine it will probably be Sanchez because you get more money for him. I also hope that whichever one you sell, don't sell him to Manchester City as you've done in the past, like a bunch of bellends.
Praying we don't.
Innit?
James is convinced that Sanchez is coming to Chelsea. I'm not so sure, but he's convinced.
I don't know. He might have heard something that we haven't. I don't know. But I expect it'll probably be Sanchez that goes. It will be Sanchez that you'd miss the most as well. I think he could be going for 80, 90, 100. If he goes to Bayern Munich or PSG, if they put the feelers out and try and build a bit of an auction, it could be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And then, who do you replace him? If they've got any nous about them, then you want to play a plus money deal. Because there's some very, very good players you could get for Bayern Munich that are just sitting there in the squad, like Douglas Costa.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. He's going Juventus, yeah.
Oh, he's going, isn't he? Yeah. Okay. It was an example. And I was just making an example. You know what I mean?
Like, that's why a lot of the reason, and I'll ask Stel this same question in a minute, but I feel like that's why the cynical part of me, I guess, comes out with this Sanchez deal. And that's why we're hearing stories of how we want Lacazette and Mbappe. And it's kind of just clouded over the idea of Sanchez going. And I guess I think a lot of people would almost accept it now that if Sanchez left and we got those two, would be all right. But as you alluded to earlier, Stel, there's no guarantees on any striker coming into the Premier League for the first time. So with that in mind, Stel, do you believe that Alexis Sanchez will leave Arsenal Football Club?
No. No, I don't see
any reason why?
I don't see him leaving this summer. Next summer, yes, but not this summer. First of all, it's World Cup year again.
Next summer.
So So after the World Cup, I can see him leaving. So he will know that this season, if he goes to another club, he'll need to go there. He'll need to settle. It'll be difficult because again, it's wherever he goes, it might be a new country, it might be a new language. You've got his family to think about, his dogs to think about. He won't want it. He won't want to go in World Cup year, knowing full that he's going to have to go to Russia next year with the Chile national squad. Personally, I think he's going to stay this year for not just because of the whole settling reason, but also because he knows that with that Europa League, there's an opportunity of winning a European trophy. And and let's be 100% honest. If Arsenal were in this season's Europa League instead of United, they would have won it. Because the teams that we struggle to beat, like your Anderlechts and your Celta Vigos, you'd have battered them. And Sanchez would have been pivotal. He'd have been in the thick of everything. Right? I'm not just saying it. It's a fact. You'd have battered Ajax as well.
I agree.
So
I agree.
He goes into the Europa League. He sees these teams like your Bruges and all this kind of stuff. And it's all cannon fodder for him, man. So it's a perfect opportunity for him to win a European medal, to go into the World Cup on a high. His value would increase. He'll have a half-decent World Cup because he will. Alexis Sanchez will have a decent World Cup. And then he'll go to AC Milan probably next season because they'll have a lot of money because they're already spending a bucket load now. So I can see him staying this season. And I think he loves the club as well. And I think he loves the fans. I think he knows it's important for a player to feel valued. I've spoken to a lot of ex-pros on the show and they've said to me, I didn't want to leave this club because of the way that the fans were. I didn't want to leave this club because of the ethos, because of the what's it called, the training ground, and everyone was having banter and whatnot, and it was difficult to leave. And then when they went to another club, their hearts sank and they weren't the same because they didn't feel the same way. And I think Alexis Sanchez is that kind of player where he knows the Arsenal players love him. Whenever he goes on international duty, you always see Arsenal fans watching Chile games and doing memes, or whenever he takes a picture. I mean, they made a bloody banner with him and his dogs, for Christ's sake. You know, you Arsenal fans are weirdly obsessed with these good players, but you know, we're football fans and that's what we do. So, you know, I think he'll give you one more year, just as like a thank you, and then he'll go. And I think he's only 28. He's only 28. He's going to be 29 in December. So and
if he goes back to Italy, that's like being 23.
Exactly. And listen, let's be 100% honest. He is super fit. I'm not saying this in like a homoerotic way, but he is a super fit footballer. You know, he's like Cristiano Ronaldo. I was talking to a mate today, like he's 32, but he looks 26, 27. And that's the same with Sanchez. He's 24, 25, realistically. You know, and the only reason why he probably slowed down is because of that bloody ankle injury that he keeps getting every now and again. But no, I think he'll give you one more year. I'll be very surprised if he leaves this summer. Next season, probably. Next summer, sorry. But this season, I think he's got one more year in him.
Okay, and finally, 3 predictions for you in this summer window, whatever it is. 3 predictions.
All right, can I go first?
Yeah.
Lukaku will leave Everton.
Okay,
right. That's
2 more.
obvious. Okay, that's a good one.
You're warming me up for that one. So go with 2 more.
Eric Dyer and what's the other one called? Kyle Walker will leave Spurs. And my last one is that Southampton will sign a manager that's a complete fucking cretin.
Ryan Giggs then.
Okay.
Okay. Right. My prediction: Arsenal will spend around, if not more than 200 million. That's one. AC Milan will bring in a big name that will shock the world. And Ronaldo will sign a new contract. There you go.
I like that last one.
It's always the case, isn't it?
My 3 are Arsenal. Southampton will refuse to let you sign any players this summer. Talking to you, Robbie, when I say that.
Alex.
And Everton will sign a 30-goal striker and finish above you both for your ridicule. Yeah, probably Lacazette, man. Oh, fucking luck, I'll tell you. Love it. There's a very controversial, heated show.
It was good, wasn't it? Do you know what? We didn't even talk about Chelsea, boys.
We did. Oh, fuck Chelsea. Sorry, James. Stel, plug your show. Let them know where they can find you on Twitter and your podcast and everything like that.
Okay, so in a nutshell, I host a football podcast called Shoot the Defence. We do shows every week, really, like review shows, but we also have interviews. We've got a show called Night Vision, which Leon Knight does for us every month or so. We're on the FNX network in Australia, so give them a follow also on Twitter. They're on @FNX network. We're on @Shoot the Defence on Twitter. My Twitter is @OnAMadness. We're on Audio Boom, iTunes, what else? FNX network. So we're all over the gaff. We've got a Facebook group page as well, so feel free to join. Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Cheek. Really appreciate it, man. It's always a laugh when I come on, and shout out to the group as well, because they've been fantastic, the chat room.
Okay, cool. And thank you. And Robbie,
Yeah,
let the people know where they can find you and your baby oil.
I don't have anything to plug particularly. You can
Your baby oil. I'm setting you up right
you want
there.
more baby oil? You want more baby?
I'll set you up right there.
Oh, mate. No, listen. No, this is for me now. It's getting late and I'm lonely.
Let them know where they can find you on Twitter at least.
Yeah, you can follow me on the Twitter @Robbie Richmond. It's Robbie with a Y. It's always interesting. At the moment, I'm tweeting a lot about politics, so sorry about that.
Yeah, he really is.
Mate, I'm sorry. I can't really fucking help it with what's been going on the last couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's often worth following me and checking my bio to see what random 90s indie band I claim to have been a bassist, guitarist, keyboardist, and or drummer of, which I change on a weekly basis. Because I'm weird like that, you know. I think you've worked that out. You've been listening to me ramble on for the last 2 hours. I'm mad as a bag of spanners. Anyway, that was good, wasn't it? Fucking hell.
And thank you to the 30 plus that were crazy enough to listen to us on a Friday night argue and talk about football. You guys are crazy lot.
Yeah, man, they're good, man. They're good. They're a good lot.
Yeah, they're good laugh. Yeah, cheers, boys. Thanks for chiming in with your insight on the old live chat, including Chris Wall. I know Chris Wall. He's a cunt. And Cy Richmond, I know him because he's my youngest brother, and he's a cunt.
Okay. Well, shout out to the youngest brother and your mate. And shout out to Stel's boy John Silver
for PM. PM. Vote for John Silver.
There you go. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Colossal Chig. That's CHIG. And by the way, all their the Twitter handles are in the description below, so you can always follow them if you're wondering what Twitter is that? What is their Twitter? So you can always follow them on Twitter. Listen.
I need to poo. I'll catch you later.
Go on then. Go. Yeah. And that was way too much information. And please do crush that like button for me. There's always that one cunt that dislikes it. Thank you, cunt. But it's all love. But crush that like button for me. And if you listen to me for the first time, do hit that subscribe button. I'm still planning to do my Premier League fixtures, my Arsenal Premier League fixture video tomorrow.
And another chopping block sometime soon, yeah?
Chopping
block?
I knew you'd be a fan of the chopping block. You're a fan of the chopping block. There you go. If you want to know what me and Robbie are talking about, go through my video archives and listen to and watch my horrendous editing of the chopping block. Do give that a little listen. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that dislike button if you must. And I'll catch you guys soon. On the flip side, take care.
Baby, we're for life.